were under the age of 18, a student. You just left secondary school.
Yes.
And you hadn't yet gotten into the university.
Yes.
You say something happened to you. Yeah? Something very painful, you know, beyond painful. Can you tell us what that is? Tell me what that is.
It's, I have to say, like, this is the first time I'm going to be coming out, like, public to discuss this with someone. Yeah. It's only my family members and definitely my husband that knows about it. Okay.
Take your time.
I was still in secondary school and I came home. Meanwhile, then I was staying in Ilorin with my parents. I was born in Ilorin. You know, I went to my primary school in Ilorin, but my secondary school, I went to Gifted School Academy in Suleja.
This was still in Kwara?
No,
Suleja and Ilorin?
No, Suleja is Niger State, close to Abuja. So I returned home for a particular holiday, and then my sisters, they all told me, oh, they are now going to a particular, like a club, you know, but it's not a church. Right. It's a club. They were doing their services on Saturday. It was more like a gathering of young people to just come and dance, praise God, and listen to the word of God. That was how they explained to me. And the kind of person I was then, I was this kind of person. I was the vice president of the fellowship in school. I believed in tying hair to church, you know. I didn't really want anything hip-hop, you know, jumping, that kind of gathering. So immediately my sisters told me that that's the kind of gathering. You meet a lot of people, you meet prostitutes that have given their lives to Christ, you meet cultists that have given their lives to Christ. I was like, isn't it not scary to be in the midst of all these people that I don't think I want to go. They're just like, Busola, just come. I reluctantly went. And I saw the different people that were there. It was clear I was the youngest. So I was always pinching my sister because the way they were dancing, I felt, no, this is not it now. This looks like a club, you know. But then it was like, this is like a new way of reaching out to people to know God. So I was there. They said time for first timer to stand up. I stood up and I introduced myself. My name is Busola Dakolo, secondary school. Then I now shipped it in that I explained my journey there, that I didn't want to come here. I thought people would be like on serious set of people. You know, how can people be praising God like this? But listening to the word of God, you know, seeing people talk, it's really amazing, and I'm so excited that I came here. I was really a bold child, like I could speak up in any gathering. So after the meeting, that was where Pastor Biodun preached, Biodun Fatoyinbo, he preached. After I finished preaching, he came to meet me after the service, after the meeting.
Is the general overseer of the Commonwealth Zionist and COZA.
Yes, is the senior pastor there. But then it wasn't COZA.
Yes,
it was called Divine Delight Club.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't yet a church.
It wasn't yet a church. It was just like, and he wasn't married then, but he was engaged to his present wife. So that's how he came to me, and he was like, such a bold young lady. Like, I've never seen someone like this. You know, it was like, wow, you need to keep the fire. That please, can you do something in the next meeting before I go to school? He asked when I'll be going back to school. So I said, okay, what can I do? That I can sing. I'll just try to sing, not like I can sing very well. He said, oh yes, that's great. That he plays the keyboard. That he would help me out, would rehearse together, things like that. So I told my sisters, and I felt why do I have to be part of this your club thing? I don't want to be part of it now. But my sisters told me that I should not be too judgmental, you know, because my thinking of Christianity then was a bit different, was kind of like solemn, you know. That was how...
What they call deeper life.
Yes, sort of, you know. That's how I was then. So I decided, okay, I went to, I can't remember the particular day of the week, but my sister now took me to his house then. Right. He was living with his father. Right. The wife too there will be there sometimes, I guess, because that particular day she was there as well. Right. So I entered the living room.
When did your sister take you to his house?
Because I was meant to do rehearsal.
Right, for this thing that he invited
Yes,
you
for that next meeting that I was meant to sing.
Yes.
So she left me there, entered the living room. He was already seated with the keyboard. And as at then, I didn't have a phone, no mobile phone. Even in my house, we didn't have any landline. So it was more like, I've already told you this, just work it out, you know, come at that time.
Right, right.
So that's how I rehearsed. And
so this was his father's house?
Yes, his father's house, in the father's living room. So he asked me what kind of song. I think I even remember the song, you know.
What song was it?
I will serve you because I love you. You have given life to me, something like that. So I'm not a great singer. So I sang it my way, and then it was like, oh, great, rehearsed. I went back home. And the next meeting, I did the song. And as I was singing, someone came out to give his life to Christ. I got to realize the guy was actually even in cult, you know. So it was really a very touchy.
Where did the person come out of? So
from the congregation.
So okay, so you went to his house, you did this rehearsal.
Yes.
Then you did the thing the next meeting.
Yes. Right. I sang the next meeting.
It wasn't a Sunday, it was a
No,
weekday.
Saturday.
Right.
Saturday. Right. It wasn't a Sunday service, just Saturday gathering, Saturday evening.
So when you were singing, this person came to give his life to Christ.
Yes. So after the program, different people walked up to me that is like, you have that gift, that calling, just keep serving God, you know. Different people encouraged me. It was so clear to everyone that this girl, she's a very, very young girl, you know. So he walked up to me and he said, wow, just keep the fire burning.
That's Biodun.
Yes, that's Pastor Biodun. He walked up to me and he said, keep the fire burning, that I'm going to give you books and cassettes as you're going back to school. Just be focused, don't listen to people, you know, things like that. And he gave me books. It wasn't on the spot there. I don't remember whether he sent it down, but I got books from him and cassettes. It was cassettes then. So audio cassettes. So I took them back to school. I even showed my friends in school. I gave them the old gist about this new place that my sister took me to. And, you know, that's how it was. And by the time I finished secondary school, I returned back to Ilorin. And I was still contemplating, should I join this church?
You're not still fully comfortable?
Yes. Because I went back to school. The kind of fellowship in school was totally different from what I experienced during the holiday. So it was more like I was living a dual life, you know. So I really wanted to come in terms with the particular belief that I want to flow with. Am I going to be like the FCS, the way I was in school, or I'm ready to join this kind of new environment? So I told my sisters, and they were like, see, this man is warded, he's now in church. It's Commonwealth of Zion Assembly.
Right, by the time you came back from school, it was already a church.
Yes, it was now already a church. So that's how I joined the church. When I joined the church, I joined the choir. Then we were at, we're using a particular mall, Adamabola, or like that in Ilorin. Right. There was a supermarket downstairs. So I was part of the choir. I would go for my rehearsals, everything. I just wanted to serve God because my background is, I'm from a polygamous family, and seeing some things play out in the family, I didn't want my life to be like that, like more or less like when I was in secondary school, as I was coming out, you know, this send forth that they are doing for you, and they're telling you, you are going into the world. You know, I was beginning to get scared of this world. Like, so I was having that mind that I want the kind of world that will make me happy. And since I was already a Christian, I was just like, hold on to Christ, that's all. So I wanted to serve in a church, you know, just be zealous for God the way I was already zealous in school. So I joined the choir, and I wasn't talking to anybody. I would just do my own thing. My sisters were involved in self-fellowship. We would go for evangelism together, and
but you were still in your shell. You were still afraid of this world that it told you to be careful about.
Yeah. And again, you know, because it was a bit difficult for me to really integrate myself into the church, because of where I was coming from. The FCS was totally different. Yes.
What's FCS?
That's even Fellowship of Christian Students, something like that, you know. So I joined choir, and then one day they told me, oh, even sing a song now, lead. I couldn't really sing very well, but I sang. And one particular day, Pastor Biodun now came to me. He was like, that you don't like to talk, how are you? You know, you just look at me, how are you? Hope you're good and everything. Just be like, I'm fine. And then he started coming to my house.
Right.
And all of us in my family, we were so active in church. Right. When I mean extremely active in church, more like the Amokitans are so passionate about COZA, so passionate about Commonwealth. Anywhere we'd go, we just keep dragging everybody to this church, dragging everybody, just come to church, come for self-fellowship, things like that. And we were going through our own personal family issues, quite all right.
Did you have to do with the fact that you're a polygamous family?
Yeah,
what were the issues?
Yeah, my father wasn't always around, you know, and then right from secondary school, we're already facing financial issues. And while I was in secondary school, there were times I would go to school without provisions, but nobody knew. I was very good at living, coping with things. Not discussing with people, you know. I just needed to let me study well, come out of school, enter university and get a good job, you know. I really wanted to be there for my mom in particular, because I just felt she had gone through a lot, you know, things like that. This particular time in church, he came to meet me, that's Pastor Biodun, and then he said, I noticed you're always all by yourself.
You came to meet in church, right?
Yes, like after a fellowship, like you're always all by yourself, things like that, hope you're good, you know. So I said yes. So he said he was going to come to my house the next day.
Had you ever done that before?
No.
So it was because he said he wanted to find out more about why you were quiet?
Yes, he just wanted to sort of know more about me, things like that, because we were always going to church. I guess people sensed something was wrong, like in terms of family, maybe we didn't even have money, things like that, but we never opened up to anyone. We would just take care of our own business. There were days we would go to church, no food, and then we'd go back home and sort out issues, you know. So the next day, he came to my house in the morning, and then my mom was in the kitchen. So I told my mom that, my pastor is here. He came in, he greeted my mom, and then I told my mom that, my pastor says he's going to buy some things on Taiwo Road, that I should just accompany him, you know. So I remember that particular day, my mom was like, Busola, which one is this one now? She said it in Yoruba. I was not like, mommy, it's my pastor now. I'm like, there's nothing, you know. So my mom said, okay, no problem, greeted him. As in, my mom saw that, he left with me. So he was driving a white Mercedes-Benz here, like the old, I don't know the model, but old white Mercedes-Benz. And that was where we sort of started interacting. And he started talking, like, you don't say things, you're always quiet, what's wrong, you know. So he was talking, I want to be a spiritual father to you. So at that point, even though in my world, I'm always very mindful of people around me. Like when I was small, because when I was like 10, one of my dad's drivers just looked at me one way. I slapped the man. Like, why are you looking at me like that,
right.
you know? So immediately I was about to just put up a guard, you know, but then it was just able to like just break it. I just want to be like the father, somebody you can always interact with. And then really, I didn't have like a good relationship with my dad.
He was always traveling, you say. He was
Yes,
not always at home.
yes, at home. And then my sisters were all busy running their own lives, and I had my fears of all this thing of you're about to enter university. There's a whole lot for you to know about this new environment. It really I felt stifled in a way, you know, and I was a bit glad, like, oh, I have someone to interact with. So it wasn't that particular conversation that made me to open up to him, but it was more like within me, I just felt relaxed, like, okay, you know. He just talked and he went to buy what he wanted to buy. He dropped me back home. Then after some days again, he came to my house that, okay, he was going, because the church was about to move from that particular location to another location that is like Wonderland, that's where they call it. So we would go to that site to go and see. So he took me that particular day again to go and see that place. We just talked that he's doing this. He just wants me to be talking to someone. And meanwhile, all these interactions, he asked me one time, do you have a boyfriend? I was like, no, I don't have a boyfriend. I'm a virgin, like nothing. And he was like, oh, that's really good. That just keep yourself, you know, don't listen to all these people, even all these church boys and church choir members. So it was good. It felt like good advice, definitely. So
like somebody who was supporting,
helping,
you know, listening to you,
and concerned about me as well, you know. So it sort of just, I became relaxed, like nothing, until a particular day, which was a Monday. I remember the previous day was a Sunday service, and because there was no telephone, no mobile phone.
Before GSM.
Yes, I didn't know, and it came to my house. Meanwhile, my house then was the gates opened. The living room is where you just knock the door, and someone will come downstairs and open the door. And this time my mom had traveled with my younger sister. It was just myself and one of my elder sisters that was at home. My house, the duplex, was a duplex so big that if you're in a room upstairs down, you won't know what's going on downstairs, things like that. So I came down, normally the way I come down, it was like 6:30 to 7. It was pretty early. I was still in my nightwear, I was wearing a gown, my nightwear, and I heard the knock. Who is that? Pastor Biodun. I was first of all like, I couldn't say anything, like, what's this time? So early? But immediately I just opened the door. He just pushed me. He didn't say anything. He didn't utter any word. He just pushed me to one of the chairs in my living room, and I saw him like he was removing his belt. So I was like, what? He just said, keep quiet, do what I want you to do, and you'll be fine. So at this point, really, a whole lot was just going on in my head, because it was more like someone that had put up here that I felt was really, really concerned about me. I had already felt him in the place of like a father that could speak to me, you know, guide me. He was there about to do something I did not believe. And then when I was just about to react, he just covered my mouth. And when he covered my mouth, just like, Busola, listen to me and you'll be fine. Just do what I want you to do. I didn't struggle. I just left him, and he brought out his pennies, and I was wearing a nice gown. I was wearing pants, pulled down my pants, and that was how he found difficulty to enter, but it just kept, I was like grunting, I would cry, I was just doing a whole lot of mixed feelings and all that, and then he eventually penetrated, even blood dropped on the floor. And at that point, he finished what he wanted to do. He had an orgasm and he zipped up. He left me there. I just sat on the floor and he went out. So when he went out, sorry, just hold on a minute.
So take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
Because the thing, this particular time, it looks like something that just happened, like an event, but a whole lot are damaged within me. As in, I don't even know how to define it, a whole lot. He entered his car. All I saw was he came back and he brought Crest.
What is Crest? Toothpaste?
No, a drink then.
Mouthwash?
No, a drink.
Like a soft drink?
Yeah, like a soft drink.
Right.
It was Crest. It had green content.
Right. I do remember. I think I remember Crest.
Yeah, so it was already opened. Right. He had opened it and he just poured it in my mouth.
Why? I mean,
I don't know. So he poured it in my mouth and I had to just be swallowing it as he was pouring, swallowing it. And he finished, and he was now tapping me like, you should be happy I'm the one that did this to you.
Okay.
So, and then he left. He said, I'll see you. He left. But I should be happy. That is the one that did it to you. There is a man of God that did this to me.
You should be happy that the man of God
disvirgined me. Sort of.
Okay, sorry. Let me be sure that I get this chain of events. And I'm sorry, because this is obviously a difficult thing.
Yes.
So you're saying that Pastor Biodun, he was a pastor at this time?
Yes.
He has set up this church called COZA.
Yes, he was married. The wife had given birth.
Oh, and he had a child.
Yes, the wife had given birth to Shindara then.
Shindara.
A very little baby.
Boy. And you were in the choir?
Yes.
That he'd like to be a spiritual father?
Yes.
And so, based on that, he would come and visit you to help, encourage you and support you.
Yeah.
And then one morning, Biodun, Fatoyinbo, comes into your house at dawn at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And without saying anything to you, when you open the door, he pushes you onto a chair.
Yeah.
He tells you to shut up.
Yeah.
And then he rapes you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so he says, I'm sorry about this, but I just...
It's fine.
I'm sorry. And then he closes, he tells you to, he shuts your mouth, literally.
Yeah.
And then does this.
Yeah.
And then ejaculates, has an orgasm or whatever.
Yeah.
And then goes out, gets a drink, a soft drink, so he doesn't say anything to you apart, he goes out, gets a drink, And you were so, according to you, were so overwhelmed, you couldn't even scream. You didn't even, you just, yes, just, yeah, you were overwhelmed.
Yeah, it was, at some point, I raised my voice.
Yeah.
But when he told me, and again, at that point, you know, when I joined the church, then, and my sisters used to say, oh, he used to be part of a cult group, something.
The sisters mentioned that he used to be part of a cult group.
Yes, and then he would mention it in some messages now. Yes, like his testimony, how God saved me, things like that. At the moment, so it felt like that was the person I was facing.
Right.
You know, I didn't see him as the person that was encouraging me as the father. I just saw him as, wow, like he's a mean person that he could just do anything to just satisfy.
I mean, yes, you were frightened. I mean, that would be reasonable.
Yeah.
So he goes out, he gets this drink, he comes inside, he forces it into your mouth, and then he tells you, and he's just disvirgined you as well.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the floor.
Yeah.
And he tells you that you should be grateful that he, as a man of God, was the person that did this to you. Okay. Okay. Where was your sister at this time?
My sister was still sleeping. And apparently, I think that the night before, she went out with her friends because my sisters would just go out. I was the introvert kind of person. And I was just scared. I didn't even know what to tell her. Instead of me having time to even cry or anything, I was there trying to clean floor. I was quickly going to remove my pants. Then all I remembered was I ran to my mother's room. She wasn't around, so I locked the door and did like I was just sleeping. I just felt... There was a scripture I used to have in my head then. Marriage honorable, bed undefiled. And watching how my mom and dad, how they were, I didn't ever want to lose my virginity before marriage. That was like one of the things that I felt, according to my faith then, that if I'm able to keep my virginity, I'm going to have a fantastic marriage. That was my revelation then. So it just felt like I had lost every single thing. Everything that I had hoped for was all gone. My dignity, I felt it was all gone. My sisters would call me aside because they knew I was a virgin. And they would say, oh, Busola, keep yourself, oh, don't answer people, you know, we so believe in you. It was more like I was the flower of the family, like that precious. So in short, I just felt like my glory was gone.
That was the first thing that hit you. This man just took me here.
Like it was totally gone. I was on the bed. I would cry, go into the bathroom, pour water on my body. I think I had my bath up to 10 times that morning because I just felt I needed to be cleansed. Go and wash up. I did not come out till like 12 noon. As at that time, my other sister was back. But I couldn't say anything.
Was back from where?
Like she went out.
Oh, she went out and she came back.
Overnight. Like she didn't sleep at home.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, so she didn't sleep at home. I thought you said somebody was sleeping upstairs.
Yes, I had two sisters that were around then.
Right.
Yes.
So one sister had gone out.
Yes.
And came back the next morning, but the other one was sleeping upstairs.
Yes.
How did he know that nobody was there? Your parents were not. Your mother wasn't home. How could he have known that he could do this? How?
Yeah, it was. You know, I guess by the time he was already coming to my house, he already knew how my home was functioning. You know, oh, this person is not around. Because my mom and my little sister traveled that time.
Right.
So it was just myself and
so
my sisters that were around. So nobody else was around.
Right. And he knew the way the house was big and all of that.
Yes. So it wasn't even something, he didn't do it in a way that it was inside the house. It was just the living room. Because it's a duplex, you open the door, you see the living room, then you have to step down to get to the dining area. So it was just the open door. It was just on this side. So it wasn't, there was no distance.
Wow, okay. I'm sorry about this.
I've lived with it over the years.
Yeah. And this is the first time you're talking about this to anybody apart from your family.
Yeah, like it's, you know, I had to really come out to say this because I was already hearing things, more like another narrative was being said. And I've kept quiet over the years. I know what I've personally gone through. I know how I've like struggled. You know, when you're just struggling, you're just pushing your head anyhow, like, no, there's something about me. You're trying to figure it out, you know, you're not just able to get yourself. And thank God I have people that are working with me now, that are able to help me through healing process. And I'm seeing a way that I can also help others, you know, people that are silently going through this kind of thing, because the pain is not what you can define. The hurt is not the kind of hurt that you can say, I even know how to come out of it. It's more like you're struggling. It's a struggle. When I mean it's a strong struggle within. You're trying to still see yourself with that high esteem, but you're not seeing it. You're trying every way. Sometimes you try to get it through validation of people. It's through what your friends. Sometimes it's through a lover. So, you know, you're sort of in a situation where you don't have control of things. You're just depending on everything around you.
Yeah, I see that. So I want to stay here where you are now, and then before going back into that part, however painful it is. So you said something. You said he has been spreading, or there has been a spread of a different narrative. Why? Who is spreading this narrative? Why would anybody spread a narrative if you've not talked about this in years to the public?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
It's social media. Like, I think my husband put up some posts, and then he mentioned from Ilorin to Lagos to, you know, Abuja, Dubai, you're doing this.
Your husband is Dakolo, the singer.
Yes, Dakolo, the singer, and he's aware of everything that happened. Yes, he has always been aware.
How long have you guys been married?
We've been married for 6 years.
6 years,
yeah. So he's been aware. It's not like it's a new thing. But then when you keep hearing news of this person doing this, this person doing that. And
by this you mean abusing other women?
Yes,
girls.
Abusing other women, other teenagers as well.
Other teenagers? Because you were a teenager.
Yeah, I was a teenager then. I've not even entered school. I was still trying to do my IJMB to find my way into university. So,
So I found out about this a week ago, about your husband's posts. And apparently he came out, he didn't mention Biodun's name.
He didn't mention me.
So he came out to talk about this person who had been hurting them through the church. And apparently he had talked about it last year without mentioning names.
Yeah.
So this obviously had been something that had been deeply painful to him.
Yeah.
So based on what you were saying, because he spoke out, you know, and the people that he was talking about, which is Biodun and his people, knew that Timmy was talking about him.
Yes.
So so you were saying they began to spread stories about you that you heard about.
Yes. I think in a way they had already even spread some stories.
What
because
kind of,
the first time when it happened, you know.
First time when Timmy spoke.
Yes, when Timmy spoke up. Someone was saying it, like another pastor was saying it, that, oh, he said you guys had an affair.
Ah, so you had heard the pastor say to your husband that Biodun said he had an affair with you.
With me.
Now, sorry, but you were under 18 at this time.
I was under 18.
If he had an affair with you, he was having an affair with a minor anyway.
Yes.
And this is obviously, because I've heard this part of the story, this is obviously a well-known pastor, even though we will not mention the pastor's
exactly.
name.
It's just a thing of, that actually made me, even before these stories, I started hearing stories, I already lost all the credit of men of God trying to do like they are listening to you, like they care about you. Since then, I've never worked in a church. I just go to church anytime I want, come out. I'm not part of any group. It's about my relationship with God.
So the first time Timmy spoke out in the social media without calling Biodun's name, you began to hear stories. That's the first time these stories that you got heard from this big pastor.
Yeah.
And then Timmy spoke out again this year. Did something trigger Timmy speaking out again this year?
There was this, I was just there in my studio and I had phone calls.
Studio.
Yes, my photography studio. And I had phone calls, you know. Eventually I picked up, Busola, don't check online, no. Something is going on. You know your truth. My sister called me. Then she was like, you know your truth. A friend just called and she said, imagine people saying rubbish, someone saying rubbish about you on social media. From where now? Busola, just don't mind all these people. I was like, what? So I went online and I saw it.
You saw what?
I saw the message. The person put, go and ask your wife. The person responded on Timmy's post. Go and ask your wife that was sleeping around with pastors in Ilorin. Go and check the DNA, spending church's money. All that really, it triggered a whole lot. Like, I felt like I've been bullied enough. I've kept quiet for a very long time. You know, even when I heard there was this main story that came out previous year of a lady, you know, I didn't put my mouth, you know, I just kept quiet. And me keeping quiet, I felt like I was just losing myself. Like, you're losing yourself. Someone is bullying you. You're not getting the opportunity to speak up, to say something. DNA of my children, that's, in short, to just say, oh, she's promiscuous.
So these people were, so this lady, one of these messages that your friends actually looked at was somebody questioning the paternity of your children.
Exactly.
Because of what Timmy had said.
And Timmy never mentioned me.
Didn't mention you.
You. He didn't mention me.
Right.
I meant so.
And so whoever was responding, these people who were responding, obviously knew about you and about what Biodun had done with you.
Exactly.
And we're trying to manage this situation.
Exactly. So at that moment, see, I had a very long silent moment. When I just sat down. I had to tell my clients at the studio that, sorry, I just need to sit down. I went to the toilet and I sat down for almost 20 minutes. What should I do? I'm like this quiet person that I'm just getting to connect with myself. What's all this? And at that point, I started telling myself, I think you have to be courageous to come out and say the truth.
So before these accusations came, you were not going to come out and say anything?
Yes, I was just quiet. I was just quiet. Even when church members, some people would ask, what even happened now? COZA, nothing. COZA church members, especially the early church members then. I would tell them nothing. Oh, I just felt like, you know, we'll get to that part where I would say how I came out of the church and things like that.
But I'm going to ask again, even though I mean, if what you say occurred is an irrelevant question, but why did Timmy speak out again this year? What triggered that? You haven't
different people that have reached out to him, more like you are the voice that can help us. This person is still doing this.
Right. So because he had spoken in the past,
and
apparently, like you say, this Biodun continues. You know, people say that Biodun continues to have affairs with teenagers are below 18 and above. So people come to Timmy to tell him about what this happened. And Timmy is triggered again. Because this thing that happened to you that you know about is not happening to other younger women.
Yes, exactly. And that's actually the point why I decided to let me come out. Let me come out and let them know that you're not alone in this. Like, it's happened to me. I'm walking through my healing process with great people. So it's a hard one. I don't know. It's really hard. But then, thank God for a great husband, I would say. Some people are still single. Some people are even probably still struggling in their marriages because of things like this.
Okay, let's go back. And again, it's difficult thing, but it's necessary to do that. So, Biodun does this and does this to you, rapes you, allegedly.
Yeah.
And you go into the room, he goes home.
Yeah, he went home.
And then what happened? That's it?
That was on a Monday, and at that point I was just scared of him.
Scared of him?
Scared of him, yeah. And I love my family. I don't want anything to happen to anybody.
Because he's an ex-cultist, as he has said.
Yeah. So that image was more in my head than any, So the next, like the Bible, I still had to go because my sisters were cell leaders. So I still needed to follow them. Busola, they're coming to church.
You had to follow them back to the church that Biodun was pastor of. Had you told them about what happened?
No.
Huh?
I didn't tell them.
So, okay, so this was the same day?
No.
Or this was days after?
Yeah, days after,
so
but that same week.
So you'd been raped by Biodun, he had gone, you hadn't shared this with anybody, you were still dealing with the fact that as a young Christian girl, for whom virginity was a big deal, you just felt that somebody had taken something very important to you.
Yeah.
You'd not found the words to tell your sisters yet, but you had to follow them back to his church.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went for the midweek service. That was like the worst.
Did he preach on that
sermon.
day?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And it was about grace.
It was about grace?
Grace, the grace of God. You know, like no matter what you do, the grace of God has covered all your sins. Like God doesn't even see any of your sins. So I was there trying to understand what is this all about? What is this? In short, that day I just attended church because I had to attend my sisters. And after service, a brother came up to me, one of the protocols, and then he said, Pastor Modele wants me to come and help at their house.
Who is Pastor Modele?
That's his wife.
That's Biodun's wife?
Yes.
Biodun's wife asked you on the week that this happened to come to the house?
Yes, told someone to come and tell me that she would want me to come and help because she has a baby to come and help at home.
Has she ever asked for this before?
No. None of my siblings had gone to their place to help.
Right. So randomly...
So immediately, really, I turned to my sister. I was like, sis, I don't understand. I said, am I Omodo? Omodo in Yoruba is domestic help now. Yeah. What is all this? That was when she now said, that is not a new thing, that church members go to help her. So at that point, I was just like, okay. So Pastor Biodun now came. He just said, I'll be coming to your house when I leave to come and pick you.
To come and pick you?
Yes, it was evening. Yes, so I would sleep over.
So Biodun Fatoyinbo, after doing this thing, walks up to you in the church after preaching about grace.
Yes.
To say he will come and pick you.
Yes.
To come and help his wife.
Yes. That Pastor Modele needs me to help her. So I went back home with my sisters. At that point, I was thinking, should I tell my sisters? Should I not tell? Should I tell? Should I not tell? I was just frightened and afraid. But in my mind, I was like, no matter what, Busola, just prevent anything like this from happening to you again. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I still had to let me respond like nothing happened. Because I felt I was trying to keep my people safe. So after we returned home and he came, the wife was actually in the car with the baby and he came to come and pick me.
He came to your house to come and pick you?
To come and pick me.
And he was alone in the car?
The wife was in the car.
The wife was in,
you know, it's like after service,
right,
going
so they both
home.
Came
so
to
you
pick
both
you.
came
so
to
pick
pick me.
From home.
Picked me from home,
right.
and then we went. They were staying somewhere in Songo.
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask. I mean, I do work at Joy Inc. I know how trauma works. I know how this works. But some people are not familiar, so I'm going to ask a very stupid question.
Yeah, you can.
This man just raped you. Why in God's name did you go back to his house?
Nobody knew.
Yes, but you knew.
I knew.
Yes.
But I was totally afraid. I was a teenager. It's not like my dad was available that I would feel, and I didn't even have that kind of relationship with my dad, that I would feel, oh, daddy, this thing. I didn't feel like somebody was responsible for me. In short, it was more like him that I felt was responsible for me.
You.
Like I was beginning to see him that, oh, see the person that is being there for me. So it was more like my hopes were just shattered.
Yeah.
Everybody trying to find out how to navigate their own lives. Like that's how my family, you know, they were all trying to just find a way. Hey, my sisters, you know, myself and my sister were trying to enter university. But you know, they more like face your life kind of thing, face your life. There was just no other option.
Yeah. You were frightened. You were frozen.
I was frightened, totally frightened, because
Yeah.
at that point, like I said, I didn't see him as my pastor anymore. I just saw him as somebody that's maybe the old side never left.
You saw him basically at this point as this cultist that you have been told about.
Yeah. So that was how I went to the house, and I was always I carried baby. It was late already in the night. So his wife entered the room. So that's Pastor Dilly entered the room, and I carried Shindara. Meanwhile, at home, I wasn't the kind of person that used to clean the house.
Right.
So that was why I was even telling my sisters, like, you people are the ones that clean the house. I don't know why Pastor Dilly decided that I should be the one to come and help her cook and help her clean. That I'm not good at that. I'm just learning. You know, they know this girl just came back from secondary school. So how can she do all these things? And my sister just said that I'll just go and help now.
Because they did it for people. He'd called different people.
Yes, he called different people. That wasn't the first time.
So it's the strange thing to your sisters.
Yes. So that day, that night, I carried the baby Shindara, and Pastor Dilly was lying on the bed that was in their own master's bedroom. So she now said, oh, Busola, have you eaten? I'm okay. I didn't bring any clothes, by the way, because I didn't have mine to have my bath, change.
You're supposed to leave as soon as you
I would just sleep, wake up, and go and do my own thing at home. So I carried baby. Pastor Biodun walked in and he said, I've cleared the guest room for Busola. Busola should go and sleep there now. I looked at Pastor Dilly. I said, Pastor Dilly, you're the one that told me to come and help you with Shindara. I'd like to stay on the bed with you. He said it again. But why would you want to stay here when there's a spare room for you? That room is meant to be like, I think like, he cleared the room in short. You know, that you can go and sleep there. Because I already, meanwhile, by the time I walked in at some point where I was just there alone at home, came to me, you're going to sleep in a guest room and I'm coming to meet you there.
Okay, all right. So, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so when you came into the house with both of them, he found a way to corner you and
yes,
say
and
that
he
you
said,
will
sleep in the guest room and I'll come and meet you there.
So, right, okay.
So, it was just, let her sleep. I said no. He walked away again. I made sure I just carried Shindara. Like, she was a baby, really little baby then. So then she now said, okay, Busola, just help me. Let's lay the bed, everything. As we're about to sleep again, he came in again.
As well as sleep in his wife's room?
Yes.
In the master bedroom?
In the master bedroom. Came in again and said, Busola, he was just pacing the floor.
Pacing around.
Yes, like, he came again. You should go and sleep. You should go and sleep. I had to just look at Pastor Dele. I just looked at this. I said, please, I really need to sleep with you on the same bed. At that point, Pastor Modele now said, Biodun, please leave her. She wants to stay here.
Right, okay. Right.
So immediately she said that, he went away.
Right, okay.
And that's how she slept, I slept. Then I stood up and I locked the door, the room door. And that's how that night was.
Right, okay.
I woke up in the morning and let me clean the house normally. I woke up in the morning and let me clean the house normally. He was already in the living room with Bible on his laps.
And what?
With Bible on his laps. Yeah.
Right.
And then he looked up. I greeted him. He looked up. He looked down. Then he came to meet me. He said, nobody ignores me. That he wanted to have that. I knew he wanted to do something with me. And I made sure it did not happen. He just said, nobody. At that time, I was even in the kitchen. He just slapped my butt and he left. And I went to, I just did all the cleaning that I needed to do at home, there in their house. I prepared food. Another church member came and, you know, we finished all that. There was no time for me to go home. I told Pastor Dele, I said, I want to be going home now. Then he came into the picture. He said, I'm going out. Yes.
People said when he heard that you wanted to go.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He said, I'm going out. I'll drop you off on the way.
Okay.
So I now told her, I said, I just want to go all by myself now. That, don't worry, sir, don't worry. This whole thing is just tiring.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
I've tried to be like a superwoman all along, like I don't like to remember these things. Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
The way we can see men of God to just be mean.
So, okay, this is very painful to go through, but you want to do this for other women who have gone through this, or who are at risk of going through this again.
It's actually difficult to say who have gone through.
Who could have,
because it's more like it lives with you.
Right, so it's not a one-off thing.
It's not a one-off thing.
So it's
because
who are going through.
Yeah, who are going through it. It's just like the level I'm at now, that's not where I was years ago.
Right.
But it's all a struggle. You know, that's poor self-perception. You just look at yourself like you're worthless. You know, when you visualize the image, you visualize everything that happens. It affects you mentally.
But I'm going to ask another stupid question. But why? Like, if someone did something so terrible, why are you the one that feels bad about yourself? I mean...
The way the whole thing changed after, like I will talk about it after he came, when my brother approached him and he started begging, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
okay.
you know.
Yeah, right. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's, so that people can follow the trail.
Yeah.
So I sense that, I mean, I asked not to be told the story before the conversation, but then I sense that there is something else coming, because he said to you, I would take, first he had said to you.
Yeah, because that was the second time it happened again.
So it happened twice?
It happened twice.
In 1 week?
In 1 week.
Does the rape by Biodun happen twice in 1 week?
Yes, in 1 week. So that day I entered the car, the white van.
So after you had said you were not going to go, he basically insisted that you had to go with him.
Yeah,
that he would
the
drop
wife
you
was like, go now, Pastor just wants to drop you. I was
the wife
like,
didn't think to ask you, no. Why are you so worried about going away?
She didn't. She just said, follow Pastor now. Pastor is going, just follow him, drop at the junction. So, because that was what I said, I would just drop at the junction of the house, because it was quite a distance to walk from their house to where the taxi, you could get a taxi. So, entered his car with, there was a church member around then.
Right. Yeah, so, you mentioned that the church member had come in the morning.
Yes. So the church member actually just dropped off before we even got to the junction.
Right.
And then he was driving, I was in front. He was the one driving. He just changed, like he made a detour.
Immediately he dropped off this other church member, he just changes the route.
Yes, after we advanced to another level, like before we got to the main junction, where I could get a taxi. And then I was like, Pastor, go and drop me at the junction. Can I come down? Can I come down? He was just smiling. And then he was just saying different things like, I am yours. You do what you want, what I tell you to do. And he just parked the car when he got there. At that moment, my heartbeat was very fast because I knew something was about to happen again. Something was about to happen again. There was nothing. I didn't even think of violence. I didn't think of hitting something. I didn't think of that. At that point, he came down from his car and opened the door, pulled me out.
This was on the main road?
Yes, somewhere with nobody was there, not on the main road.
Right,
yes.
Right. Gone off the main road.
Yes, yes. We never even reached the main road.
Ah, right, because you came from his house.
Yes,
so
we never reached. It was just the road to another place. Right. Anybody that knew Songo then was just full of bushes here and there. Houses were just beginning to be developed there. So he just parked and came out, pulled me. Do this to you in the house. There's no answer. That's how he bent me over. He bent me over at the back of the car. At the back of the car, opened the door. Then later on, put me at the bonnet, like my hands like this. Then later on, he just held my hands like this at the back. Held my hands like this then. Give me what I want. So at that point I didn't even do anything again. I just
Did you raped you again?
He did it there. Came. Was more or less like a slave now. So he did it there, he ejaculated and he put me in the car and started saying sweet things like, oh, Busola, I think I love you. Saying things, I didn't even say anything. I didn't say anything. We got home. He dropped me off. He said, you'll be fine. That this thing is not a new thing. I told his ministers then that he mentioned it that men of God do this.
The minute when you talk to his church, his fellow pastors in
yes,
the church,
later on.
they said men of God do this.
Yes, no.
Okay.
He told them, because I told them that at this point he mentioned it, that he was saying men of God do it. It's not a new thing.
Right.
And he still denied it, that he didn't say that.
But he said this to you.
But he said it to me.
That men of God do this.
Men of God do this. I got home. Right in front of my gate, I came down.
He dropped you at home?
Yeah, he dropped me at home. And I entered. At that point, I went to go have my bath immediately. I went to have my bath. I didn't come out at all for like 3 days. That particular time, I didn't go to church the Sunday. So it was getting like worried. I didn't see you in church. He came
to the house.
To the house.
After you didn't see you in church on Sunday.
Yes. Like, what happened? What's this? You know.
But wasn't this strange to your sisters? Why was this married man always coming to check on you?
It wasn't strange.
It wasn't strange because it
was like, it was our pastor.
It's normal. They call it visitation.
Yes, and more or less we were very active in church.
Yes.
You know, right. Even this Infinity group, the singing group then.
The singers, yes.
They used to come to Ilorin then, and we would host them. The church.
So you were a church family?
Yes, so the church did not really have so much money to be able to put all of them in hotel rooms.
Right.
We would host them in my house. Right. We would cook for them. Even with the way we didn't really have so much money, you know, we would just do our... Yes.
I know how these things happen.
And sometimes even the boys, they would notice like, what's happening now? Let's help you with this. Let's help you with that. You know, so it was more like church family. We were very, so they didn't even think of it.
There was nothing strange about
yes, this. Like he was coming to my house and, you know.
So he dropped you off. I mean, he came back after the service to find out why he was worried.
Yeah.
And for your sisters, it's like normal concern. But for you,
we were all there. Yeah. We were all there in the living room and it was just like, oh, we are fine, everything. I said, okay, yes. That's fine. The next time, I was still contemplating how should I tell my sisters. The only thing that just kept me from telling them was, this person is just acting nice. This person is not nice. Like, this person can do anything. I was just saying it. I was already saying like, I don't think he's really truly born again. That's how I was saying it then. Because I just felt that you won't be born again and then you do this kind of thing. And it felt like he didn't have any remorse. It felt like he could go back to do anything, you know. So that's how I also just felt like he can come to my house, send someone to come and do something, come and kill or... I didn't feel safe. There was no man. No man. It's not like I had the covering of my dad, like somebody that could protect us. My mom was... I was all sold out to just be there for my mom. Like, I couldn't even tell my mom. And my mom and I, we sort of used to talk. I was like the stubborn person that, you know, some things that were troubling her, she would easily talk to me about them, you know, and I would pray with her and all those things. So all this, I was quiet. I would still go to church, come back, but then I now stopped being active in choir. I just told myself, on no account should you be with this guy alone. On no account will you go to his house again. I was just trying to like give myself different things to avoid so I don't find myself in that state anymore. And then myself and my sisters would still talk around because they held my virginity like it was theirs. So they will talk around it. Hey, Busola, when you even have your first boyfriend, oh, don't do this, just continue. And I will still smile. But whenever we had such conversations, I would just run back to the room again and cry, you know. I traveled to, it was when I was in Lagos. I told one of my sisters she was coming to Lagos that, please let me just follow you. I just want to come here to Lagos. She came to Lagos. I followed her. I told her. She was actually the one that came to me, and then she had told me about a dream before that she had. And I saw that something bad happened to you. That my sister is like someone that she dreams, like she sees things, either things that are happening to you now or things that will happen. So at that point, she told me, she said, I had a dream, you were crying seriously, and I saw blood on the floor, and I saw Biodun sitting on a chair.
Oh, wow.
She saw it in a dream. So at that moment, I was sort of like in shock. Like, I denied. I said, no. The next thing I just started, because as at that time, that was the same time, the way it was, I was in Lagos, it was night, I was about to sleep, I was now crying. Like I wanted to pray, but I couldn't pray. So she was passing by. And she had been trying to tell me this, because even when we were there in Ilorin, she told me she didn't just have the dream, she had the dream sense. She called my sister that time to say, I have something that I want to tell Busola. I have something that I want to tell her. So it was not that very day that she just told me that, Busola, this is it. Tell me what happened. I started crying. I told her what happened. She started crying with me. She was mad. She was like, Busola, we have to go back to Ilorin. We have to go back to Ilorin. So we came back to Ilorin that week. My brother was in University of Ilorin then. Sister, because then I have 3 elder sisters. One was in Kaduna doing her youth service, or Kano rather, doing her youth service. And this one that followed me to Lagos, she wasn't the one that was there that day that happened. I was sleeping. So that when we returned back, we told the other 2. My brother was angry. My brother took pocket knife, just dragged my hand. Let's go to his house. We went to his house. We immediately saw my brother and I coming. We quickly came out of his house. It was like, Busola, what's the matter? My brother's name is Tunde. He was very mad. Just called him, I'm going to stab you. I'm going to kill you. What did you do to her? He was begging. He was like, I'm sorry, it's just the devil. I don't know. It was just the devil. So at that time, someone was around, a church member. Yes, a minister. Bonnie. That one is the pastor of the pastor of the branch in Port Harcourt now.
Right.
Yes.
So this person is still with him?
Yes, he's still with him. So but at then, he wasn't a pastor, he was a minister in church, like prayer minister. So he now said we should come to my house. Myself and my brother went back home. Then they now came to my house. That then they called another minister. So we started talking.
He came with another minister?
Yeah. That he was really sorry. He didn't know what just came over him. Like, he was really sorry and all that. I was there, I couldn't say anything. It was just like, devil, like, it was the devil that he didn't have the intention of doing that.
Biodun and a minister in his church come to your house to meet you and your brother. That means this minister knows about that Biodun had sex with you. Like, even if he didn't know that it was a rape,
Yeah.
He knew that
he
Biodun had
just
sex
knew
with a girl
something.
who wasn't yet 18.
Yeah.
So they come to your house and they talk to you and they say it's the devil.
Yeah,
Right.
we were just outside. They didn't even enter.
They didn't enter the
you know,
house.
my brother came out, I
Right.
came out. So they started saying it's the devil, this like that. Meanwhile, the minister then, which was Wole Soweto, and there's another minister, Flo.
Right.
And Flo actually happens to be my second cousin.
Flo is the second cousin. Flo used to be the pastor in
Yeah,
Lagos.
yeah, he's the
Is he still the
pastor.
pastor in Lagos?
I think so. I
Right,
don't
okay.
know, yeah.
Right.
So, but it's not like we have that close relationship.
So he came with 2 ministers or he came with one?
Yes, I think Wole came by himself.
Right. So he came with Flo.
Yes, yes.
Then Wole came and joined
yes,
you.
yes.
Wow.
So that's how they were talking. I'm so sorry. I'm this. I wasn't really even listening to everything because all that was just on my mind was I can't get back my virginity. Like it's been done. The way I think right now, you don't know my state. So I just said, I told my brother then, like, I want to leave the church. Because I wasn't even listening to the word. And I told Wole, I told him I want to leave the church. So he too, when he heard,
Who is
he
he?
actually,
Biodun?
no, that's Wole
right.
Soweto,
Right.
the pastor in COZA now.
Right.
He too, he was like, this kind of thing, this, no, I'm going to leave the church. It was the prayer minister then. It was the one like the firebrand, you know. So he was like, no, I have to, I can't even tolerate this, that this is just too much. It wasn't like maybe they even heard my narrative or they knew how, they just knew something had happened. Yeah. So, Wole said that and then he was like, please, I'm so sorry, you know, knelt down. I don't want you guys to leave the church. If you leave the church, what would people say? You know, things like that. And the word of God that you listen, it's the word he was still talking about, like it's the word of God that will help you. So I just kept quiet at that point. And after a while, he left. I entered the house. They were still having, yes, they were still having conversation. It was now later on, I was chatting with, I came out, I was talking with Minister Wole.
Right.
Then he was like, Pastor is really sorry, and it's like he really needs their help.
So basically, Wole was saying this man is a sick man, he needs help.
Like, yes, he doesn't feel this is the right time to leave him.
Oh, this is not the right time for Wole to leave him because he needs Wole's help.
Yes,
right.
like, you know, he was the prayer minister, so maybe he felt praying could, like just be there for him. And then he was talking that it's just time, you'll be fine.
Who will be fine? You will be fine.
Yes, that I'll be fine.
That you will be fine.
Yes, that I'll be fine. That you should just look at him like it's a weakness, like something.
That you should look at it as if Biodun raping you an under 18-year-old is a weakness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just an act of the devil. I was just nodding. And after they all talked, you know, so I can't believe this happened, though. You know, they all expressed themselves differently. At that time, Pastor Biodun had left. So I came back home. I know the next Sunday we didn't go to church. It was like we went back to church after like 2 weeks.
You went back to the church?
Yeah.
Why?
Wole came, as in, it was more like constant visits to us. Like, they are Mokitons, you people are really, really...
And your mother didn't know by this time?
My mother didn't know.
And
we all agreed, like, we weren't going to tell her.
So, but your sisters knew?
Yeah.
And your sister who was in Lagos, you know, the one who had... I mean, again, how did... Like, sorry, and this is a lot. This is a lot. And it's a lot for me, so I can't even imagine for you. But I'm just trying to understand. So, when your sister had the dream, because it's a very random dream, what made her walk up to you to tell you this dream? There's something.
Yeah, it was
a very
that
weird
particular
dream.
day. I was in the house about to sleep at
In
night.
Lagos, right.
Yes, in Lagos. Because see, every night wasn't the same night anymore. There are times I would cry. Sometimes it would be like I would almost sleep off in the bathroom. Then I would get up. I was just trying to adopt in my own way, you know. So that time I was in Lagos. I was actually just kneeling down. And it was like I was praying, but I wasn't praying. I was just crying. I mean, well, this was night, late in the night. So my sister came out of our room, of the room where she was staying, and she noticed she was just hearing sound. Why? I was just saying, why me? Why me? That was just the question I kept asking for a very long time, because I felt I was faithful to God. I felt I had led many people to Christ, even though I was young. I felt I had done a lot for God, you know. Back in school, I would even do like a deliverance session for people. I felt I was too committed. I had time every 4 p.m. every day. Once it wasn't church day, I would always be reading my Bible or praying. That even my family members knew. They would just say, don't go near Busola, she's in that room praying. I was reading one book, Conquering an Enemy, called Average. You know, I felt I had done a lot, and I didn't expect that to happen to me. Yes, because I was just thinking God probably didn't just love me as much as he loves him, you know.
God didn't love you as much as he loves Biodun.
Yes.
Right.
So I was just saying, why me? And my sister entered, and she saw me praying, and she said, stop praying. This is not prayer. I've been sensing something is actually wrong. She didn't even start to disturb me that I should tell her. She just told me I had one dream. That was when she now told me that dream.
A dream. Right.
I just started crying because it was more like just confirmation.
Yes.
It was that point that I told her.
Right.
That's how we came to Ilorin, and she was the one that told my other siblings. I didn't call them.
So you went back to this church in 2 weeks because they had been coming to meet you, to beg you as committed members of the church.
Yes. No, not people to... I just wanted to, committed members. I thought I was, let me protect my family. These people don't understand what's happening. That was my... Maybe they saw it that, oh, Busola, yes, oh, she's really zealous for God. That's why. It wasn't that.
It was fear.
It was fear. So I went back, but I didn't join any workforce again. I was just there. Would just be involved in the self-fellowship with my sisters, and you know, little by little I just kept rejoining. People even knew, like church choir members, some would walk up to me, why are you not in the choir anymore? I told them, you know, I was just struggling to sing. I still please just hold it, don't tell anybody, you know. Like protect your pastor again.
Check over.
What was happening to me, which people did not know. I didn't have any form of self-esteem anymore. Because it was more like I was saying God as God, so you have favorites. Okay, so you actually love men of God even more than anybody else. A whole lot was just going on my mind. So at that point, my Christianity began to, that fellowship with God I was having, I wasn't having it anymore.
Because God hadn't kept his part of the bargain as fast.
Yeah, so I was just doing things religious sake and things like that until he did one program, and he told me, he walked up to me in church and he said he's doing this program for me, like so that it will be part of the healing to get me, brought one pastor, Kayode Ojiseson. I could remember that thing of like, you know, just preaching. He preached about bondage no more, that it was, you know, it's also something he's fighting. Like
the pastor said it was something he was fighting.
Yes,
what was he fighting?
Pastor Biodun, I don't know, like maybe fighting sin or fighting.
Right. So this session is to help him overcome this bondage.
Yes, and also there was the session like for broken people, if you've been abused. I even came out when that Pastor Kayode was preaching. I came out, you know, prayed. I was crying. I came out, prayed, went back. That's how it was. I was just there until someone walked up to me and the person like, oh, I like you, I want to ask you out. I didn't know, like prior to that time, it was already telling the different people, maybe someone, and he used to say it in church then, if you want to enter any relationship, make sure you tell your pastor, you know, like they must sort of agree to it, you know, like that was just the order. So this person did not tell him, but the person like walked up to him.
Right.
Did not know the person was actually his cousin.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how he walked up to me and was like, he used to sees me in church, I'm just so, you know, I stay on my lane. And we started talking, we became friends. I didn't know he had gone behind me to even tell him, like, don't get close to this girl. Like, the girl, maybe she's not ready for all this, her mind is this, you know. He just said it in his own way, but he did not say what happened. But it sort of discouraged him. I eventually went out with the guy.
Right.
So he told me.
Ha.
So yeah, so that's how we started talking, and I told him, I held everything was just like, this person now is my first and is going to be my last. Like I was ready, this is the person I would marry. So when I made the decision that I was going to date him, and I told him, like, there's something you need to know and I want you to help me. I need to come out of this church.
Come out of this church?
Yeah. Because I wasn't listening to the word. I was just going to church, just like almost like wasted times. I used to only enjoy prayer sessions that were led by the minister then, but every other thing didn't speak to me. So I told him what happened, and immediately was like, no. By the time he pulled me out of church, came out of church, he said, first of all, you're not going to that church again. Was it like 2 days after or so, he now went to church. I did not go because he already said, you're not going to that church again. By the way, the guy is late now, so God may so rest in peace. He walked up to Pastor Biodun and he told him that, I know what you did, you know, that they needed to see. So Pastor Biodun came to his house right in front of the gates. I was already coming to this guy's house and I met both of them talking. So as they were talking, that was when he told him, don't ever talk to Busola again. When you see her on the street and you're driving, just pass by. Don't, you know, interact with her. And he agreed. And I felt comfortable because this person too was ex-cultist, like ex-cult member.
Right.
So, and he's also more like a pastor now too.
Right.
So I felt like
this person can protect me.
This person can protect me. So that's why I came out of the church. I was so relaxed. And I joined Winners Chapel.
You joined Winners Chapel?
Yeah. So
you didn't leave the church? You didn't leave the church? You still kept going to church?
Yes, just another church.
Okay. Something you said about just losing your self-esteem. I do remember a few weeks ago, you were a guest on a handle on a social news site, Olori Supergirl.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I found this out when we were doing the research before this interview. And you said, I remember the exact moment I lost my voice, or something like that. I remember
confidence.
When I lost my confidence. Is this what you were referring to?
Yeah.
And you have, did it come back? Did you, has it come back? I don't know what to ask, but have you, since that moment, and this was, you were 16, 17 at the time, or?
It's more like fighting. Like, the way I've been is more like I'm just fighting through.
So since that time, you've still been fighting
yes, through? It's not, at some point, it affected me a whole lot. I didn't even know that was actually the bedrock of issues that I had. Everyone I dated, I just felt like at some point, oh, this person doesn't love me, Joe. It's not real. I dropped off. I would just leave. And then I just decided men are just to be treated in a very harsh way. Like, just do. I started feeling like I needed to be inflicting pain on men. Like, unfortunately, they were innocent, you know. But I was also feeling like that was the way I felt I could get my power back. I was really just thinking, because there was nobody to walk me through anything. It was still more like go and listen to the word of God, and the word of God sort of looked vague. It wasn't applying to my state, you know. It was just more pray this. I would pray, I won't feel better. I would, you know, it was just more like, see, all these things that people are saying, let me just know that I'm not worshipping idols. But then, in terms of this one, no, it's on my terms. It's based on how I want to do it, you know. So it's affected you.
Why did it affect you for so long? Why? I mean, why? Again, I do have experiences with people who dealt with trauma, but just for the people who are watching, why it's more than a decade?
I didn't actually know it was still affecting me.
It was just something happening.
I did not know, you know, because after it happened then, and okay, I was already dating this person, and then I felt like even this person was sort of taking advantage of some things because of what he knew was happened. Right. You know.
So you were feeling unsafe, just generally. You couldn't trust your experience.
So luckily, I would say luckily, both of us now broke up. I had to leave the relationship. Right. And I left. And the moment I left, I just felt that thing of you have to own things now. Right. More like be in charge of this relationship world or
so
whatever.
They can't exercise this power over you.
Yes, yes. Like, I don't know what the intentions, because unfortunately things went sour too in that relationship. So it was a mindset that I built over time. I did not know, really.
As a coping strategy for this thing that you dealt with.
I was still, when I relocated, I worked I was in school when I graduated, and I came to Lagos. Me living my life normally, there were things that I would do, and the person would say, this looks so absurd. Why are you doing this? I didn't know, like, maybe it was triggering something from the past. I just used to, I didn't know I had issue. I never saw a psychologist. I never saw any professional. So it was more like walk yourself through the process. So it was all stumbling blocks, rise up again, and, you know, just trying to find yourself. That was the thing. I was just trying to find my voice, find myself, feel like I'm living again. So it's really like just 2 years ago that I started connecting back to myself.
Why? Why did you start connecting back to yourself?
Things, you know, the way I would react to things at home, the way I would feel bad, like my husband could just make simple comments about something, I would interpret it another way that is entirely different, and he would look at me. What's wrong with you? What is, you said this and you're already, you know, I would already interpret it. So you think I'm useless? So you think I'm, you know, because that was how I was feeling. I felt incapable. I just felt I was worthless. I felt, you know, so I was still struggling to tell myself, you're special. You're special. You're special. But some little things he would just do would just trigger those things, and then I would now be there trying to find my way. So it was just this time, and I just told him, I need to know the bedrock of things. Like, this is not me. This is not me. Like, who am I really? So that's all. That healing process just started as a result of me saying, let me even get to know God for who God really is. Not the God that I hear that they preach on pulpits, not the God that, you know, other people talk about. I want God, and I prayed that prayer to God. I said, God, I want to feel you in my life. Like, let me know that you are real. You understand every single thing I have gone through. You must just help me out. So it was more like that time I had come to the end of myself.
I mean, there's a lot to ask. But two of the things that I've heard said in the midst of the research about this is that, but quickly, let me talk. I mean, a few years ago, there was a big deal about Biodun and a young woman. It was a big national scandal, and he had to respond to it on the pulpit and etc. And I'm sure you heard about this. Before this, did you know that any of this was still happening with this man?
We're beginning to hear different things.
Because you were from Ilorin, so
yes,
all the community.
Ilorin is a small town, and then it was more like everybody knew everyone, you know. So we're hearing things, a whole lot. And I would just tell myself, I'm not part of that church again.
So this is not your business.
You know, so it's not my business. I have my own issues that I'm trying to deal with, you know. So even people would come, like plenty church members would come, talking about, we heard this, we heard that. I'll just smile. Nobody heard, nobody.
You had your own story.
Yes, I never told anyone. Even some were my friends in university, and they were now going to the church.
Right.
There was a particular lady, she was now complaining of what someone else said.
About the pastor?
Yes, about Pastor Biodun. And I was just smiling. I said, then leave now. That was just all I said.
Yeah.
That just leave.
So there were constantly stories about him harassing, abusing and soliciting young women.
Yes. So, but I never felt the need to speak up. You know, I just felt like that was what I felt like. Let me just leave him
Get
to
away
God.
From these people and his wife never reached out to you. She never asked any questions.
She never called me aside to say, Busola, what happened? She never did.
Again, doing research for this, I did talk to members of the church, rank and file. What did you think about these allegations about the big Esther Walter story? Yeah. And the two things I heard. One was, and again, this is by no means a representative sample of the entire church. These are just random members. I heard was one, women are always throwing themselves at pastor. So actually, he's the one that is having to deal with all these advances. And two, that he's a human being. Human beings make mistakes. I mean, they don't know. I mean, this is the first time I couldn't tell them about your story or anything I'd heard, but they've never heard about a rape, or at least in the popular imagination. What do you say to these two things? One, that, he's a handsome, powerful, wealthy man, and as a pastor, women are always throwing themselves at him.
And then again, as you were talking, I just needed to say, the one of, like, he gave me money, I was spending church money.
Yes, you mentioned that at the beginning.
Yes, there was no, the church didn't even have enough funds.
Because they were eating from bringing people to come and eat in the family's house.
Yes. There was even, I remember a particular time that my sisters, we sort of even hosted them, himself and his wife, at our house. And I could remember how we struggled to sort of just, put money together just to make sure that, they had a good meal. So there was no time that they really knew what was happening to my family. It was when he now became close to me, like more like a spiritual father I knew. And there was no time after it happened that he gave me money, church was giving me money. There was no time like that.
And in any case, you left the church soon after, so you didn't have any interaction with him.
Yes, at all.
Okay. I know that after this happened, and I know that your husband showed me 1 or 2 messages. People have been which is part of the reason why you decided to speak out. People have been sending him the most alarming. Some of the things I've read have blown my mind. Allegedly, but still blown my mind. What do you feel when you hear these stories? I've heard of people who've had to have abortions, who've had to leave the church, there's another story of a young woman, allegedly, who he also did the same thing. You know, I don't want to call, obviously I can't call names because it's her story to tell. March up to into her house in the morning, just like with you. And according to the recorded message I heard, she was saying, you know, thank God she was just a sharp worry or something girl that didn't open the door, you know. And so there's this multiplicity of stories that are in Timmy's DMs, WhatsApp, phone. It looks like an enterprise that has been going on. When I hear those stories,
like, it saddens me, and it makes me to just feel like, does he not know the ripple effects of these things he's doing? How is seriously damaging these people, damaging their lives. I mean, seriously. Because I know I've gone through it, or I'm still working through it, you know. So, and at some point I was even telling my husband, I feel like maybe I should have come out, like I should have summoned the whole courage then in Ilorin to really come out, you know, and say stuff.
Yeah, but that's not...
That was also part of self-blame, like when I hear some stories now.
But it's not your fault, obviously, not your fault in any way, because you're dealing with your own issues.
So I needed to get to that place. I think I've advanced in a way, so that's why I can actually sit down here and be having conversations with you.
Because I know, I mean, even in the process, we've been doing some pre-conversations, just asking you, are you ready? And I've seen you break down, just imagining doing this.
I you know, people would, it's more like you become so vulnerable, and it's a state you don't want to be in. It's really a state you don't want to be in, and I'm just thanking God I have a great husband.
He's been a hero.
I don't know what to say.
He's been a hero.
So I'm just imagining ladies that are there, they don't have anybody. You know, it's... I don't know, he should just be sensible. Like, I don't know what the issue is. You're not the only pastor.
But pastors, I do know that some big pastors have called Timmy, maybe not you, I'm not sure. Basically, to say, look, we know this happened, you know, but he has been punished or something, or, you know, I've heard stories, and I don't know how, you know, true this is, that, I mean, at least one big pastor, I mean, a pastor of a big congregation says, look, you know, he's confessed, he's asked for forgiveness, he's been suspended from the church for a couple of weeks, and I know that at least one pastor, according to your husband, has reached out to Timmy to say, look, you know, what can we do about this?
So now, based on all this, is the conversation not tilted to
protecting
the man of God?
Yes.
I'm not hearing conversations around the people.
People that he's allegedly abusing.
You understand? I'm not hearing conversations around the people. So it's more like the conversation is always around the person.
And why hasn't
you're protecting?
Yes. Please continue.
Like you're protecting this person. But if you can make him to stand up and let him identify, because we don't even know what has happened to some. And if you actually call yourself like you're a pastor, you are not a pastor to pastor yourself.
You're a pastor to feed the sheep.
To feed the sheep. And you know that this sheep, they always say the church is for the sick people. So do you now leave them, they're already sick, you send them away being sick? Is that a good place to be in? So it's just conversation. If it keeps being, it's looking like you're all protecting this person.
Man, at the expense
you're
of
protecting this person
of
at the expense of these vital souls that are actually dying on the inside.
Dying on the inside.
Because it's really something you can't see.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yes.
what's it? You know, it's even now like emotional, mental illness has just been identified in Nigeria. It wasn't a thing. As at then, that's why I never thought of therapies.
Yes.
Like, go and see a psychologist.
Yes.
Everybody would just be like, pray to God, it is well. It is, you know, it was just too spiritual. But meanwhile, it's a mind thing. It has moved from the spiritual state. It's a mind, because I have a soul and the body, you know. So the mind is actually where the whole battle is, where you are fighting through, you know.
So just speaking now, because you didn't even have the language to understand what was happening to you.
Yes.
There was no framework, there was no precedent.
Nothing.
You didn't know what to do. So it's just now as you began to see a professional, as you began to try to deal with this.
Yes. I'm now getting to see that, oh, these are these things. And that's why I'm really so particular about the girls.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to continue to do this.
To other women.
To other women.
I know that some of your friends and people around you are trying to set up an organization, a project. I don't know what it is yet, Unbroken, to help other women who have dealt with this kind of abuse. I mean, if you do this, you will be taking on. Why? Haven't you dealt with enough already?
If you can, the things you go through, if you can help others with it, it's not like you're there for yourself alone. You've walked through things. Like I tell my husband sometimes, like if we all can be truthful on this earth and be open to one another about our stories, healing will be like a circle.
I like that.
You know,
like
we
that.
won't have to, you know, but there's so much protection, especially men of God, in quotes. They want to be seen as the perfect being. You know, everybody is protecting just, no, I want to safeguard my space. I want to safeguard my church. It's now no more like a body of Christ. It's more like, this is my organization. This is your organization. So why do we call ourselves Christians? So if we can't open up and use our stories to influence people, how can we actually say we want a better society? And if you are saying we want to take the church, you're meant to go to the marketplace, go to the world. What is the world seeing in us that should make them to feel like, oh, I want to be part of
this? Yeah. I did want to ask that. Because I'm a Christian, and I'm church-going, church-working, tongue-speaking, Bible-quoting Christian. I know. And you're a Pentecostal Christian, so you know you didn't leave the Pentecostal movement because of this. You kept trying to seek for God, and you did say something. There's a stunning lack of compassion from even these men and women of God. But one of the things that people say is when you say something like this about a man of God, they say, you know, you shouldn't destroy the body of Christ. You shouldn't destroy the church, you know, don't disgrace the church and all of that. And I've heard people say that about you on social media. Not about you, but about Timmy, when he talked about this. What do you say to that?
It's just, that's Nigerian Christianity. I don't know how to put it. When you have personal relationship with God, you get to see that God doesn't have any favorites. This so-called grace that we keep talking about, the grace doesn't work in a particular situation and it leaves another situation. When the veil tore, everyone could just enter and approach God.
After the death and resurrection of Christ.
So, no more like pastor needs to lead.
Yes. That whole touch not my anointed.
It's not applicable. Because if you look at it, every church still has like their decorum, more like, this is how we do it in this church. This is the spiritual, like the levels, like this is how leadership works. Grace is not applicable in those leadership levels. When someone does something wrong, you point it out that, oh, this thing, you've broken the protocol in church, you've done this, they discipline the person. So why is it that when the man of God now does something wrong, you put grace in place? You know, so I see imbalance. Yeah, exactly. exactly, because I'm a practical person. That's how my life has turned out to be. So I hear less words and see more actions.
Yeah.
So,
and the action isn't making sense.
And the action is not making any sense.
It's remarkable because you did say something about him after this happened. He talked to you about grace. And I do remember that when we heard the Walter story, you know, the entire play around town was a higher level of grace, was what he said to her. And that wasn't a rape story. That was a power imbalance story. A bit, you know, as for some people more forgivable, but it's a trend. Obviously, after doing this to you, he did say to you that he, according to you, was covered by grace. Yeah.
Like grace. He's always been the grace preacher.
Yeah.
Right from time, you know. So it's just, it's left for, it's the body of Christ and the so-called men of God that are meant to sort of take care of the flock. Would they sit back and keep watching people fall aside, fall, and you keep saying, we are protecting the body. We don't want anything to come out.
When Timmy spoke out last year, Timmy spoke out this year, not just about the lives that he's allegedly Biodun destroying by rape, you know, seeking the attention of girls under 18 and all of that. Has Biodun...
And even marriages that he's destroying.
Oh, there's that. Yes. I mean, there's those, yes, of course, I saw some of those chats.
Even marriages.
Yes.
Because you're sleeping with other people's wives, and you know, it's a whole lot. So it's not really looking like it's a weakness sort of anymore. I'm just, because since that happened to me, it was just like my life just turned around.
And so the same thing must be happening to other people now.
And I don't know where they are now.
Has he, or any of these pastors who promised to help out, you did say that a Pastor Wale said we need to pray for him, you know, and said I was going to live, and there's this guy called Flo, and all of these guys. And since Timmy has spoken up to say, no, lives have been destroyed, have any of them reached out to say, we're doing our best, you know, we're sorry?
Nobody.
You know, nothing.
Nobody, everybody sort of just keeping mute. Unfortunately, the Pastor Wale Shweton's wife used to be our friend. Right. Myself and my sister were the ones that took her to COZA.
Right.
And it's something like she knows, you know, and
she knows.
I must say she has a story as well. So if, you know, there are people that you have too much information, and then you're seeing them, you used to believe in them. I thought they were really firm. Like,
so this is not a Biodun problem alone. Yes. This is an institutional COZA problem. Pastors at the top of the hierarchy at COZA, and their family, and their wives, and their friends, as far as you know, are aware that Biodun is predating on young women, on women in the church, and on married women. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
They know.
They know.
And they've done and said nothing.
They've done something about, it's not possible that you are the only one that stories keep coming out. Stories keep going. Everything is always directed towards you. Once they mention a pastor in Abuja did this, everybody's face turns to COZA. Why? That's really not... Sorry, I'm not anything, but I just think it's time that men of God needs to just sit down and sit like, what's going to happen?
What is going to happen?
These girls are waiting to see, what are you people doing? What are you going to do? How are you going to take the measures? They might not be able to talk. They might not have a voice today, but you don't know what will happen tomorrow. A few years ago, I did not have a voice. Today, I'm learning to have the courage to be able to have a voice. You don't know where their destiny lies. You don't know what's going to happen to them. So it's...
so you're speaking here on behalf of those who could not speak. And you're trying to say, thus far and no more. This needs to stop. You do know that he's going to respond, and if his church members, as you've seen on your social media, Timmy's social media page, don't believe it or say it. I think one of the most fascinating things I read in those responses was people saying, oh, she was dating him. And I'm like, well, as a pastor who is married, he's not supposed to be dating her.
Yeah.
Especially if she's below 18. Also something that, so you've established that the church knows. Yeah. Surely his wife must know. Or what do you think? I do remember that during the break, you told me about when he tried to apologize, he told you to leave the house, so his wife doesn't know. So he wanted to protect his wife. When my brother took me to his house, and he saw. That's why he said you should go to your own house.
Yes, please. That Dele is inside with baby. Please, please. I don't want Dele to know.
That's more Dele, his wife.
Yes.
And so does that mean his wife is not aware or cannot possibly be aware of any of these things? Because she's in a position.
I really don't believe that she's not aware of the things going on. Maybe she doesn't have the full story. That might be possible. But I know she's aware of a particular girl. She was suspended because pastor wanted to actually come into her house, and she insisted, what are you coming to do? What are you coming to do? Yes, that's
So how was she aware of that?
The lady went back to church,
right?
And she told the ministers. Right. She told Pastor Dele knew, so it was more like an allegation. Right. My husband, even sort of took it to Pastor Biodun's spiritual father, as at that time, and they ended up suspending the lady.
They suspended the lady?
Yes. So it's questionable, all these things.
Yes, there's something that's not right.
Yeah, something.
And if all of these things are happening, and all these things you say are true, and the pastors know, his wife probably knows, ministers know, church members know, the ones who are defending him on your sites, on Timmy's Instagram page, because he was just having affairs.
The wife knew what happened to me.
You believe the wife knew what happened to you?
The wife knew what happened to me. I believe so.
So, what is the hold that he and other people have over people that they cannot just either speak their truth or step away?
It's really hard to say, because someone stands on the pulpit, it's more like it dishes out good word.
And it changes people's lives.
Yes.
Because
the word coming out is fantastic, is mind-blowing. Yes. But the life is different. You're really affecting the vulnerable people. You're affecting them in a devastating way. So it's more or less, that's why I know people always say, leave men of God. Just listen to the word of God, their lifestyle. But then if you have an issue like this, there has to be measures. Yeah. There has to be checks. Yeah. If something keeps going on consistently, don't tell us like we are helpless.
Yes.
It feels like we're helpless, and people will still send their children there. Yes. People will still allow their wives to go there. Yes. Families will still go there. Yes. Don't let it be like the body of Christ. The church is a place that we have no solution. Goes. Yes, anything goes.
And it's not just the church. I remember talking to you and telling you that many years ago, I had a relationship. I was telling you this story with a person who was working on my team. Yeah. And it was a proper relationship. There was nothing, there was no, it was adult, there's no question. Yeah. And then years later, when I began to discover about power dynamics and relationships, I found that when you are a boss, this is not a church, when you are a boss, you exercise power over people. And when I realized that, I called and I apologized. Yeah. So you're talking about the church, but this is not acceptable even outside the church. And so the church should be held to a higher standard.
Yes. Because more or less they already, and the church is even sort of like spiritual.
Yes.
And like Nigerians, everything and spirituality, man. Like if he says die, you die.
Yeah.
If he says go, you go.
So
You know,
it's that fear.
that fear. You
It's
know,
that fear.
and it's also part of not understanding the revelation of who you are really in Christ. That people need to wait for one man of God to pray over them, to do something. You can actually talk to God and God will listen to you without you even talking to any man of God.
The Bible says in the book of James, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask from God. God. Who gives to all men liberally. Yes. And upbraideth not. Thank you so much for sharing this story courageously. Yeah. And I look forward to the work that you're going to be doing to help other women who are facing these challenges. God will help me. God will help you. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Yeah. You are His anointed. God will help you.